Greetings, guys. I am Kara. Welcome to the Big Mess. I had initially planned to show you my October setup in my planner, but I realized that I don't want to bias you on the format or structure of a planner system before you're able to make those decisions for myself. I'm not necessarily loyal, brand loyal. I think brand should be loyal to us rather than the other way around. But I do use Happy Planner and similar styles, interchangeable styles, with stickers and fun colors and that kind of thing. And I know that's just not how everybody thinks. I do want to give you a way to find out what type of information you deal with daily and how you most effectively can interact with that information so that when you pick a planner or a journal, it'll be more than just, well, so and so uses this kind of system, so I think it'll work for me. We each think differently, and we will think differently at different times in our lives, and that changes as we do. What's more important is how you interact with information. Excuse me. Commonly, this process is referred to information management, but I don't feel like that really hits the mark. I think that it feels sterile and hands off. Information is as real as physical objects. Everybody's heard bricks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But I think that that is misleading. Information evokes just as much, if not more, stimuli than some physical acts. If you're walking down the street and someone bumps into you while you're walking along, they may apologize to you and you both continue on. But if someone calls a derogatory name, makes an untoward comment, that kind of thing, we're more likely to take it personally and either require corrective action, like an apology or whatever, from their part, or brood about it for days. And we won't necessarily know if that was directed towards us or not. Our brains automatically assign importance to information, whether that's mental information, physical information, interactions that we have, that kind of thing. So we need to develop a more hands-on approach to dealing with those kinds of things to help our brains not get so bogged down that we can't process the information. So this is our brain. No, it's not a sewing kit. It may become a sewing kit in the future, but it's not a sewing kit today. Today, this is our brain. And we have lots of information. And all of that information is stuff that's already in our brain, stuff that's in the background, stuff that we're currently working on, stuff that keeps being added to our lists, keeps being added. Some of it falls into the background, some of it kind of sticks on top. And we can get really overwhelmed, and it just keeps coming. We have no way to necessarily deal with this if we just put the lid on it and assume, well, your brain's going to take care of it, it'll be fine. This is how we get bogged down. This is how we get overloaded. We get overwhelmed, and we tend to only think about those few things that are here on the front burner. So you can think of it, and many people will talk about it being like too many tabs open on a computer, and it's just too much information to actually deal with. So we get brain constipated. Yes, I went there. Brain constipation. We can deal with these varied and diverse topics by doing what we refer to as a brain dump. Brain constipation, brain dump. I didn't come up with information. I'm just running with a metaphor. So unless you enjoy this brain stuckedness, let's look how we can address the problem. We need to unpack and take a neutral approach to dealing with each piece of information. So we need to bring them out. We need to separate them. We can list them out. We can look and compare. Are they bigger or smaller? Are they similar? Are they dispersed? Wow, we've got a lot to unpack in our brains. I mean, look how much our amazing brains can hold. They can just keep coming and keep coming. And sometimes we just need to dump it all out. We just need to dump it all out. And we need to look at it. Okay? And as we're looking at it, we can start seeing the different types of information. We can start looking at similarities, differences. We can start going through and we can start saying, oh, look, these ones are different than the other ones. These ones are wrapped up. They must be a special thing of themselves. And these things, wow, they're kind of nuts. They drive us insane. They're kind of like thoughts. Wow, yeah, our thoughts, we're kind of nuts, aren't we? We can really get crazy when we let our thoughts take over. But there's nothing wrong with thoughts. We need our thoughts. They just need to not take over. And sometimes we have things that just don't like to move. There are physical belongings. There are physical things. There's things that are like these rocks. Okay, these aren't really rocks. These are little candies that I don't know if I like them or not, but they were the coolest thing I could find to indicate kind of the element of earth. These are my M&Ms. I will do lots of things for M&Ms, but I started looking around and wow, yeah, we have rocks. We have some things that take a little more to actually move. We have some things over here that are like emotions. They kind of swim around, and sometimes the sharks eat the fishies. Sometimes that's what happens. So as we go through and we start comparing and contrasting all of the different types of information in our heads, you can see that as we're listing them down, it doesn't take very long for us to identify whether or not, not whether or not, it doesn't take very long for us to look and notice what goes together and what doesn't, what belongs, what doesn't. It actually doesn't take very long. I've noticed that in my processing of my thoughts, it's similar to meditation. Usually a good session will take about 20 minutes. Now, you might take a lot longer for your brain dump. You might not have brain dumped ever, or it might have been a really long time, or you have a lot of things on your mind that you just need to segregate and categorize and figure out how to deal with. There are some rules. Excuse me, I am a little stuffily tonight. There are some rules here as we're dealing with our brain dump. First of all, don't take out something and really look at that one thing. As you can see, as we're spending time and we're looking at this one thing, we're not paying attention to any of the rest of us. Our actions for right now, the action that we want to take is to just look and categorize. We're just categorizing them. We're just noticing them. We're just saying, oh, those things have a rough category. That's where it goes. I'm going to put them in their rough category. We're also not going to worry about things like how we put them in there. This is similar to our handwriting. If you're doing, when you're doing a brain dump, don't worry about your handwriting unless you're not going to be able to read it when you're done. All that it matters is that when you're done with the brain dump, you can read it. That's it. And don't pay a heck of a lot of attention to the mistakes. In fact, don't call them mistakes, of putting them in the wrong category. If you notice it, similar to meditation, just bring it back on topic. Just keep going. Just keep putting them where you are. And it, as you can see, it does not take very long to bring all of our thoughts into a pretty good assortment, pretty good organization here. We have our thoughts over here in air. We have our M&Ms over here in fire. Okay. We have our emotions over here in water. We have our rocks over here in earth. And that took maybe 10 minutes. And we've identified special things. These are Halloween candies, so we might have Samhain on the brain. We might have some one-off situations that need to be taken care of, and we don't need to necessarily put them, they don't necessarily fit in these other categories. So we're going to put them on their own. If as we're doing this, your cat runs by and you think, oh, that cat is so crazy, list it. Put it down. It's enjoyable. It's funny. It's part of your life. And don't forget those silent items that a lot of times don't get put on a to-do list. Doing the dishes, switching the laundry, walking the dog, those little things. They take time and they deserve their own category. Also, no judgment. You're not going to take judgment about, oh, I shouldn't think so much about this one thing. I shouldn't worry about this one thing. Or maybe you're really ticked off at somebody and you just want to harp about it for a little while. That's fine. Give it its own space once you're done categorizing, and it can have its own little shark blood bath, emotional blood bath. But right now, you're just categorizing them, okay? No actions. Don't get up and go do that 3-minute task. Again, give it its due. This little task, give it its due. You'll get to it when you get to it. Don't stress about this. The point is to unstress. Just let it all out. Just dump it away. Just dump away. Okay? Keep going as long as you can. When it's done, close your book. Walk away. Do something that is physical. Do something that's the opposite of categorization. Maybe do your list in the morning, come back at it at night. Maybe go do a couple of those small things that you've listed. And so that when you come back, you can immediately take them off of your list. But do something that's different than this. You want to come back to processing at a separate time with a clean slate. When you do come back, you're going to take your large categories and you're going to look at them again this time a little more closely. And we're going to start putting them into containers. Okay? So these containers are going to go into our mind, but they're going to be nicely categorized categorized, and they're going to be dealt with much easier. So we're going to take some of these one-off large topics that don't fit anywhere else, and we're going to put them in a project container. This project container is going to have its own special place, and we know that we're going to refer back to that, and anything that might go with it, maybe we get some more that are similar to this that go with these topics, but they're going to have a place to go. We know that as we go along, we may have some things come in to our brain. We may have some stuff that as we're doing this, things keep getting added and keep getting added. Well, it's a heck of a lot easier to say, oh, well, this is really easy to take care of. I can categorize those very easily. Took less than 20 seconds because we already had started, we're not even done yet, but we'd already started categorizing our items. Okay, so now we're going to look. Do you know how hard it is to play with all this stuff and not eat it? You guys don't want to hear me eating. So we're going to take a look at all of this stuff and we're going to start categorizing it. Okay, well, that's not hard. We can start categorizing. We can say all the rocks, that's easy. The rocks are gonna be the stuff that's gonna stay in our lives. Laundry, I don't know about you, but laundry, always there. There always needs there's always a batch of laundry that needs to be done. Bills that need to be taken care of, cats that need to be fed, you know, the cats from earlier, and little tiny itty bitty things that are going to crop up all the time. Well, they're pretty easy, and we can put them into their own category. And then we can go over here and we can say, oh, there's only 2 kinds of things we have here. We can very easily categorize these. And maybe if we do that, the sharks won't eat the fish. Of course, you know, maybe the fish will eat each other, or maybe the sharks will eat each other, but hey, that's, you know, no judgment here. Okay? And then we can go over down here, and we can look at this section. Now these are actions, and we can separate them, and we can say, okay, well, we've got peanut M&Ms that are larger, and we have smaller M&Ms. These ones happen to be dark chocolate M&Ms. And look how easy they are to organize. Okay, so here we are, and and since we looked at them earlier, made a nice solid list of them, look how easy it is to organize them. And again, we might have some more thoughts coming in. We might get a phone call and we're assigned a few things to take care of. Well, hey, look, it's even easier now because they're now not only categorized, but placed into their own spots. Now all we need to do is the nuts, okay? We can start looking here and we can start saying, oh, okay, we're going to put the pecans in the biggest one because they're the most expensive right now. And we can start going here and we'll just do as best we can. And, hey, I've made a mistake. I put that in the wrong category. Well, that's okay. I can just pick it out, put it in the correct one. And as we go through here, we're going to train our brains to, when we interact with information, it's going to be categorized before we even interact with it. Oh, look, there's a rock. Let's put the rock away. So we're going to, now that we've interacted now that we're interacting with it, we're teaching it, hey, there is a place for almonds. When this type of information comes in, it's going to go directly in its container before it even hits the main part of our brain. Now, obviously, this is going to take a while. Yeah, absolutely, this is going to take a while. And that's okay. Like I said earlier, these things, it takes a while. Sometimes you accidentally put a walnut or an almond in with the cashews. Well, guess what? You just dig it out. And as you do that, you're training your brain to put them in their own categories. Okay? And we're just going to practice that. We're going to practice it daily. We're going to practice it constantly. It's one of those things that gets better and better. And as you go along, maybe you decide that, hey, you have too many M&Ms in this little container over here, and you want to take them out, and you want to categorize them not only by whether they have peanuts in them or not, but maybe you want to divide them up by color. Okay, that's fine. And maybe after that, you find out, well, that wasn't really all that helpful, so I'm going to recategorize them and put them back into the same one. It completely is up to you at that time and what's helping you right then. This is one of the reasons people talk about planner piece. I personally don't understand that. Planners are a tool. If I have hammers, they talk about if you have a hammer, everything's a nail. If I have a hammer and that hammer breaks, I'm not going to keep using that hammer because it's what I've always done. No, I'm going to get a new hammer. So as we go through this, I need to be careful, make sure I get all those pecans in there because I'm going to make pie later on. But as we go through this, we're going to find, oh my gosh, look how many nuts we have. Look how long it's taking us to go through our thoughts. Well, I put a lot of nuts in there, a lot of thoughts in there, because that's the vast majority of what's swimming around in the front part of our brain, in that processing part of your brain. You want to get those out. You want to give them their due. You want to look at them and say, hey, what am I thinking? Do I believe everything I think? Because I don't know about you guys, but man, some of the thoughts I have are so weird. And some of them I'm just like, okay, that was weird. I'm going to toss that one out. Maybe that thought I had was just a little bit too crunchy. Maybe it just needs to find a way right out of my head. But even all those thoughts, given their due, look how nicely they fit into containers. Now look what we have. We have thoughts, actions, emotions, abundance. And look, here's some stuff added to our brain. Look, our boss just called and dumped everything onto your lap. Huh. Well, let's see how fast, since we've already organized them, let's see how fast we can put those in the appropriate places, so that all we need to do is assign a time, an appropriate time, to look at that section. And look how fast that was. Now we have things that don't necessarily need a category because in a month they'll be done. Because, wow, we might actually get some trick-or-treaters. I doubt it, but we might. But all those thoughts, all those actions, all of those emotions, and all of that stuff we have around the house is now easily contained, easily dealt with. And there's no judgment so far. We have not judged, and we're not going to judge whether or not we need to have guilt or blame or shame about any of this. We're going to take all that away. Then we can start doing the actual evaluation of, does that almond look good? Yeah, that almond looks good. I'm going to leave it in its pile. But we can also look at things that might be missing. Oh, we have forgotten. We need to make sure in our system that we're doing, we need to make sure that we have our one-off topics. So now you can look at this and again, assign your categories to them. Finances, work, spiritual, friends and family, etc. Cycles, focuses, even hyperfocuses. Overall, your first brain dump may not be overly intense because you've never done it before. That's fine. You're going to develop it. This is a skill. Once it's developed, you can start using the tools that make the most sense to the way your mind works right now. Like I said, your brain is going to change, but when you know that that's okay and that you can learn how to recategorize and that's just fine, it's almost exciting because you get to play with a new planner style or a new section in your planner, or maybe you're able to squish some together. So now that you know what kind of information you're holding on to, label it and see how you're feeling about it. Does this make you feel better? Does your brain feel like, oh, wow, that's a lot of stuff. I'm not sure what to do with it. That's normal. If you've never done it, you're going to feel that way. But if you do this for a week or so, you're going to really unpack a lot of those deep things that are swimming around in your brain. Now look, after this, we have a nice, easy, clean slate so that the next time something goes into it, we can put it directly into the container we have developed. Give this a try. For a week or so, just brain dump. Do the things that are timely, but don't stress about whether or not you're doing it correctly because you're doing it correctly because you're doing it. That's the point. So thank you so much to all of my new subscribers and the old subscribers. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to play a little bit with me. Like, comment, and subscribe to feel the algo dragon, the algorithm that defines our lives. And till next time, say hi to the moon for me. Thank you.